For the second task, we're going to build a wine glass. For this, we're going to have a look at the curve menu. Curves can be made from the Create Curve Tools menu, and what we need to do is create a profile of a glass. As you can see from these images, we've got some profiles of wine glasses, and really this is any cylindrical object from wine bottles to wine glasses. We can use a profile to create the intended shape. So inside Maya we're going to switch to 4 views, and we're going to look at the front view in particular. So if we use the space bar, we can blow up the front view, and then obviously using the Alt and middle mouse button we can track the camera into a good position. I'm going to go to the curves menu, and I'm going to look at using an EP curve. So there are two types of curves. There are edit points and there are control vertexes. If you look in the Maya help documents for EP curve, you can see that there are components of a NURBS curve section, and in here it gives you an idea of what the control vertex points do on a curve. So if you look at the start of a curve, you have an open square followed by a U and then a cross and a cross. And when you use control vertexes, you can pull these control vertices off of the curve, and it will create a Bezier curve, a logarithm between those points. So it's essentially like using a vector inside Adobe Illustrator or an Illustrator package. When we use edit points, the edit points are actually on the curve and they are still controlled by control vertexes, but the curve points are actually staying on the curve. So we will use both, but we're going to draw the curve out originally with using just edit points. So we'll select the edit point curve tool, and the curve tool is active, and then it's asking us to lay down at the bottom here. It's saying EP curve tool, click in a view to add edit points, enter to complete the curve, also use MMB, insert and backspace. Okay, so we're going to start with a very simple curve. We're going to start with a point here, which is on or as near as the center line as I can probably get it at the moment, and then another curve, and then another curve, and you can see as I pull that curve, the curve is actually bending away. Okay, so we're just going to curve this round or down and bring it probably to the end there. Pressing enter completes the curve. Okay, so if I right mouse button over the selected curve, I get my context menu selection coming up, and I can go to control vertexes, and here you can see this square, and I'm going to snap this using grid snap to that point, and I'm going to also snap this one to grid point, and this just means that I've then got some accurate curves. So I'll just snap those. I want to snap this one as well. Okay, the rest I'm going to freehand this shape. So this is going to be sort of just a glass tumbler at the moment, so I'm just going to bring these sort of curves, bring this curve down, this one over the top. There we go. So the closer the curves get to each other, as we get these, the sharper those angles become. So I'm going to bring this one somewhere here, I'll just slide this one out a little bit here, and we can see that that starts to bring those in. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to just select the object again, so right mouse button to select that object. Now we're going to use the revolve tool, but we don't want to use the revolve tool to create a NURBS surface. We want to create a polygon surface. So I'm going to double click on the NURBS revolve options, and I'm going to change its revolve options to polygons, which will open up a whole new menu set. I'll tell you when I want quads, and we want to use a general method. Okay, so it's saying how many surface numbers of isopalms are there in 3D. Well, we just want per spans, which is like this, and we'll use 1 and 1. So it's saying wherever we've got a control point, put in a vertex line. Okay, there we go. and we're going to have 8 segments as we do the revolve. So let's select it, hit apply, and close. Okay, so looking at this object, as you can see, we have an object, and it's found it very difficult to actually build the mesh up. So I'm just going to go and make sure that the faces are all selected. We're going to look at the inputs on this. So this is using the history, and we're going to look at the tessellation. So the tessellation we use 1 and 1. Let's change this to 2 and 2. Okay, so there we go. As you can see, we're starting to get more definition around that pot. We may even use 3 and 3. Let's like that again. Nerves tessellate and 3, and you can see how that works. So this one I definitely want to keep as 1 because I want this just to be 1, and I think I'll use 2 on this one. So there we've got the sort of top of the shape of the glass, which is not bad. Now the glass itself it would be able to be modified using that curve, the original curve that we've got in here. So if I make any changes to this, as you can see, the glass changes as well. Let's just turn off the shading so we can see this a little bit easier. So whenever we're making modification changes, because the history's on, it's then saying the geometry goes pink. Now for this geometry to become just geometry again, what we need to do is we need to go to the edit menu and we need to delete the history. So now when I select the curve, we don't have an interactive model, and I can delete that curve. So this is going to be a wine glass, remember, so I could have drawn the curve down to give us the wine glass, but what I wanted to show you was just a basic extrude. So I'm just going to move this up in here, and I'm just going to select those faces on the bottom. So that's these faces here. Just using the shift command, just zoom in. I zoomed in there using the F for frame. And then going back to polygons, we're going to use the extrude tool, which is here. So you can get the extrude tool on the polygon shelf. You can get the extrude tool by going to the edit mesh menu, or you can get the extrude tool by shift and right mouse clicking and selecting extrude. That's the one we're going to choose. And I'm going to use the extrude along the local translate of Z. And I'm going to change the offset. There we go, smaller. I'm going to use the extrude tool again, and again I'm going to pull that down on Z. Undo that. Okay, now this little button here, this allows me to extrude directly down using using the XYZ coordinates in world space. Okay, so we've got the extrusion down, so we just need to make an extrusion at the bottom. So on that extrude that I had there, I'm just selecting the history again. I'm just going to add 2 divisions to that extrude. Okay, just like we did with the teapot. And I'm going to select that edge in the middle, move that edge down, and I'm just going to move these up because this does seem to have gone below the line where I want it to be. There we go. And now I'm going to select these faces on the bottom, and we'll extrude those out. And we're going to extrude those out along, if we have a look at this, the Z axis. There we go. And we'll just move them into position to create that wine glass effect. So there we go. It's a very simple wine glass. It has some issues with shading that I will look into. I think this is just due to the graphics card. So we have some extrusions that have been done and revolves, and we've turned what was a bit of geometry that we revolved in, we've turned that into a wine glass shape, which would be, you know, low polygons for an asset.